We are back for part 3 of the preview. And this will be the second last preview, as all the cards have been released. So the last preview will be part 4. Here we go. We have Auspicious Spirits. 4-cost priest spell. Summon a random 4-cost minion. If you corrupt this card, you summon a 7-cost instead. So for 4, you could get a random 7-cost minion, which is pretty good value. Not hard to probably corrupt this too much. I think it's got some pretty good value, honestly. I'd maybe see this in probably like a control deck, I'm guessing, but don't hold me accountable to that. But that's kind of where it probably leans towards for most stuff. Or like a spell priest, but that's not really a thing, so not that. But it's overall, I think, a pretty decent card. Cenarian Ward. 8-cost druid spell, gain 8 armor, summon a random 8-cost minion. I think that's good value, because you get a random 8-cost, and you get a free 8 armor with it. I think that's pretty good. Going back to those druid roots of play big stuff. So, I like it. There could be some potential of maybe ramp type deck again. I don't know. Cloak of Shadows, 3-cost rogue spell. Give your hero stealth for 1 turn. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I don't get what the point of it is. Yes, let's say you're about to take lethal. You're going to take lethal the next turn. For 3 mana, you can save yourself. Hopefully. Unless you have cards that are just like deal direct damage to the hero. Because stealth can't stop that. Only immune can. Which means there are better options than this for that. For example, I believe it's timeout. Same cost, you're immune until your next turn. Immune is much better than stealth. So really, if anything, this should probably cost 2. But, just my thought. So, I'm not the big fan of this card. I don't think it's that great. Fellsteel Executioner. 3-cost, 4/3 elemental. If you corrupt it, this becomes a weapon. I think this is very good for an aggressive demon hunter, because having that 4/3 weapon then helps out a lot with the Bladed Lady of having lots of attack on your hero, and then she only costs 1, which is really good. So, I think it's a really good card, and would be great in an aggressive demon hunter. Unstable Fellhound. Never mind. 3-cost, 2/5 demon for demon hunter. As taunt, and if you corrupt it, it gains +1/+1, and lifesteal. I think that's pretty good. So it would be a 3/6 taunt with lifesteal for 3, which is also, again, very good value. Doesn't really go for the aggressive type deck for Demon Hunter. So if anything, you'd maybe see this in probably the Soul Fragment Demon Hunter. But just a thought. Jewel of N'Zoth. 8-cost Hunter spell. Summon 3 friendly Death Rattle minions that died this game. Oh look, more Death Rattle stuff for Hunter. Surprise, surprise. Right? Again, Death Rattle stuff for Hunter isn't really that surprising. Pretty decent value, especially if you're playing bigger Death Rattle minions in the game. So most likely, if you're going to run this, you're not going to have a lot of small Death Rattle minions, like 1-cost, 2-cost, 3-cost spell Death Rattle minions. You'll just have 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost minions that don't have Death Rattle, just probably like some beasts, most likely. So if anything, maybe do like a Death Rattle Beast Hunter, or some kind of Death Rattle Hunter that comes back. But we will see. I'm excited for some of this stuff. Only card I'm really not excited for is the Cthulhu card, which... Malevolent Strike. 5 cost rogue spell. You destroy a minion. This costs 1 less for each card in your deck that didn't start there. So kind of going with the burgle type effects stuff for rogue and getting a very good benefit off of it. Base cost is the base cost of Assassinate. So if you just have Assassinate in your deck, it's just like, don't put that in there. Put this in there instead. If you have the card. Because this is flat out better than Assassinate no matter what. Because even if you don't really have like very many cards that shuffle stuff into your deck, it's still cheaper in some way then. And even if you don't have anything, it's just Assassinate then. And maybe you somehow get some cards that shuffle stuff into your deck. And then if you just had Assassinate in the deck instead of this, you lose that value. So this card is a lot better than Assassinate. Replace it in every way. Not sure where it would end up going, to be honest. Because tempo? I'm not sure. Honestly, not sure. Oh my yog. 1 cost Paladin's Secret. When your opponent casts a spell, instead of casting that spell, they instead cast a random one of the same cost, which is super fun, super random. Probably not gonna see much play in meta, but I like it. It's just fun, wacky, silly. Not necessarily great. It can be very good at times, where they're like, oh yeah, let me use Assassinate on their big minion. Not so fast. You're going to cast a random 5 cost spell to something. And it's just like, well, so much for that plan. So this can throw stuff off very easily. You can throw off your opponent's plans. So I like it. It can be good, but sometimes it can probably be very bad. But I think in most instances, it is going to be good, because it's completely not doing what your opponent wanted, which most likely will end up fine for you. Cascading Disaster. 4 cost Warlock spell. Destroy a random enemy minion. Corrupt, you destroy 2. And if you corrupt it again, you destroy 3. So this card can be corrupted twice. You don't see much of that. I've seen this card that you can corrupt twice. And then Horrendous Growth that you can corrupt as many times as you want. Which I think is pretty cool. So anyway, this can destroy a lot very quickly if you corrupt it enough. They're random, but when you get it up to 3, it doesn't really matter. So I think this card is very good. Very good for like a probably control warlock. Probably not to maybe like a soul fragment warlock as well could maybe use this. It's a very controlling card, and it's very good at doing that. Claw Machine. 6 costs, 6/3 mech. With Rush and Death Rattle, draw a minion and give it +3/+3. 6/3 Rush is already honestly pretty decent, because you can kind of just for 6 kill almost most things on the board, unless your opponent is playing really big stuff. And then the Death Rattle is a very good plus in there as well. Might see this in a Hunter. Could maybe see it in a Paladin deck, probably. because Paladin has liked mechs a bit. Like the last few expansions, they've been getting lots of mechs, so Paladin could be also an option for where this is going. Probably more likely Hunter because of that death rattle, and that death rattle is very strong. I like it. Deathmatch Pavilion. 2-cost Shaman spell. You summon a 3/2 duelist. If your hero attacked this turn, you summon another. This card isn't great. Shamans really don't attack very often, and they don't have too many weapons to attack with. So really this card's extra benefit is very difficult to pull off because Shaman really doesn't have too many options for weapons or gaining attack to them. So I'm not necessarily behind this card very much. Not a fan of it. There's better things that there could be. Palm Reading. 3-cost priest spell. You discover a spell, and you reduce the cost of spells in your hand by 1. Discovering a spell isn't much. Normally that's like a one cost effect. Reducing the cost of spells in your hand by 1 is very useful, especially for maybe some combos that you're trying to pull off. You have to for sure have lots of spells in the deck for you to get a lot of value out of this. Because let's say you're just playing like normal priest deck, got some spells, some minions, and you've got 3 spells in your hand. It's kind of worth it, kind of not. Most likely this type of card would go into a deck that has lots of spells. Probably also be more leaning towards some kind of combo priest deck, because reducing the stuff always starts leading to some kind of combo generally. Magic Fin. 3-cost 3/4 Murloc for Shaman. You add after a friendly Murloc dies, you add a random legendary minion to your hand. Getting random legendaries is probably not what you want when you're playing a Murloc deck, because legendaries are going to be way too slow. You'd rather have it like the Underbelly Angler, where after a Murloc dies, you get a Murloc. Or no, that was whenever you played one. But it should be then something like that, where after one dies, you get a Murloc instead of a random legendary minion. Because a random legendary minion does not help Murloc decks ever, because Murloc decks are fast, legendaries are generally very slow. I mean, I guess if you're not winning fast and you're losing stuff, most likely you're starting to lean towards trying to do control, and then the legendaries may help out with that more, but probably once you're at that point, you've already lost. So I don't see where this would fit at all. Optimistic Orc. Ogre. Why do I keep doing that? I did that when I first saw this card. I'm like, Optimistic Orc. It's like, it's not an Orc. It's an Ogre. Because we have plenty of Ogres already. We got Mogre the Ogre. We got the Spell Ogre. We got lots of Ogres. The Sun Ogre. It's just like, I don't get why my brain instantly goes to Orc. There's not even a C there. It's an Ogre. Optimistic Ogre. 5-cost, 6/7, 50% chance to attack the correct enemy. I've always heard where people get shunned away from the Ogre cards because it says 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy. And this one says 50% chance to attack the correct enemy. Will that help? I don't know. It's a 50% chance. It's not any different percentage anyway. It's just worded slightly differently. That's all it is. 5-cost 6/7 though is obviously good value. and attacking the wrong or correct enemy. Is it worth it? Probably not. It's never really worth that small amount of stat buff because you get screwed over by it way too often. Strongman. 7 cost 6/6 with taunt. If you corrupt it, it costs 0. Very good card. Very strong. Very difficult to corrupt because it costs 7. So obviously the corrupt was going to be a huge effect because of very difficult to do it. Because the 7 cost 6/6 taunt is bad. Corrupting it, very good, because then it's free. So really what you can do is you can do some kind of board clear spell that's expensive and then play this to follow it up to just help you try to fortify your board presence at that point then. So it would be good in more control type decks because they have more expensive stuff generally. Shadow Clone. 2 cost rogue spell. After a minion attacks your hero, you summon a copy of it with stealth. I like it. It's a lot better than the hunter one. Well, not necessarily. Depending on the situation, this one is better than the hunter one, or the hunter one is better. Where the hunter one summons a 3/3 copy. Period. No matter what the stats on it. This is a copy with stealth, which for sure gets to keep it around then, because your opponent really has no way of targeting it unless they use an AoE spell afterwards, which generally they're going to do that first. Because why would you attack first before casting it? Your Flame Strike or whatever, generally the spell is cast first. So it will probably keep it around then. I think it's good. Don't know exactly where it would go, but I do think it's a good card. Deck of Chaos. 6 cost Warlock Legendary Spell. Swap the cost and attack of all minions in your deck. So we're basically going Yogg strategy. Like, let's see what happens. Which is never good. Never a good meta card. Super fun. It can cause lots of crazy moments, and it can be an absolute super fun time when you're playing like against your friends and whatnot. But my goodness, do not play this in a tier deck or a meta deck or a tournament. Unless you're memeing in the tournament. Which would be funny, but also probably make your opponents very confused. Just like, why is he here? Who invited this guy? Deck of Lunacy. I'm not sure. 2 cost legendary spell for mage. You transform spells in your deck into ones that cost 3 more. But they keep their original cost. Again, kind of causing some randomness again. But it keeps that same cost. So it's like, yeah, I've got, for example, I have a fireball in my deck. And then you play this. So then it gives you a random 7 cost spell. Which, for example, could be Flame Strike. But Flame Strike now costs 4. It's a 4 cost Flame Strike, which is really good. But it's just so random again. You can't do this. You build your deck as the way you want it to be, and that's why you built it that way. Stop trying to play around with it. Grand Totem Eyesore. Shaman Legendary, 3 cost 0/4 totem. At the end of your turn, you give +1/+1 to all other totems in your hand, deck, and battlefield. Man, you can try to make a totem deck and then find out that is an absolutely terrible idea because totem decks do not work. And no one really has, most shamans don't really have too many totems that they play right now. The only totems you're going to be buffing is the ones from your hero power. No one has totems really in their deck anymore. No one does that anymore. It just doesn't work. Totem Golem's out of rotation. I mean, the totem, you could try to do the totem Goliath then, but there's just not enough totem stuff for this. Like, it's a great concept. I love the card, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't. Greybog, 5 cost, 4/6 Druid Legendary with Taunt and Death Rattle. Give a random friendly minion Death Rattle. You summon this guy back. Okay. So if you have stuff on the board and he dies, someone else gets it, then they die, then this guy shows up again, and if you have something on the board. So basically, you have to keep stuff on your board so you can keep this guy jumping around. I mean, it's cool, but it's very difficult to keep stuff on your board, especially with all the board clear stuff. Like, most likely what's going to happen is you're going to play him. Someone's just going to kind of kill him. He'll go on something else. Then you maybe probably silence it. Silencing this is the best option for this. Honestly, to actually deal with it by getting rid of everything on the board, honestly is quite difficult, I will say. Silencing this is going to be your best option. Guaranteed. Lorthrax the Redeemed. 5 cost, 5/5 Demon. Legendary for Paladin. Battlecry for the rest of the game. After you summon a Silverhand Recruit, you give it Divine Shield. It's a big buff to all your Silverhand Recruits. Are they trying to make Silverhand Recruits viable? A Silverhand Recruit standard deck? Is that what is coming in the future? I mean, it's super useful to Wild. I will freaking use it if I end up opening it, but like it's a great battle cry. I really like it, and the stats for it aren't horrible. It's weird that it's a demon. I will say that it is kind of strange, especially for Paladin having a demon. I help out my Silverhand Recruits, of course. I don't get it. I don't know. Great. I like it. I love it. Ringling's Rifle. 4 cost, 2/2 legendary weapon. After your hero attacks, you discover a secret and cast it. I like it. We're doing more secret stuff for Hunter. I remember in the last, it was one of the 2 previous previews. There was some cool secret stuff for Hunter. I'm liking the cool secret stuff. It's great. Secrets. I love secret stuff for Hunter. I really do. It's super fun stuff. This has plenty of value. Maybe a control would be my guess for this. Honestly, this could probably go in multiple Hunter decks, because secrets for Hunter are generally pretty strong. And really, at the end of this, after you use the weapon, you've now cast 2 secrets for free for 4. So you get 4 secrets, which each secret generally costs 2, unless it allows across other classes, which could make it better, actually. I'm guessing it's going to stick with just the hunter ones, but it's still good. Sagan, Seer of Darkmoon. 6 cost, 5/5 mage legendary. Battlecry, you draw a card. Upgrade for each friendly secret that has triggered this game. Okay, so you remember aggro secret is a thing of wild, right? There's a lot of secrets that get triggered. Hey, I ran out of cards. Don't worry, we got this guy. Freaking draw 12 cards. It's like, whoa. Does this bring secret stuff to standard? Maybe. Maybe, because if you can't... You don't want to cast... Honestly, you don't want to cast too many secrets then. Because then you draw way too much and just burn a bunch of cards. So it's weird, because you want to have a decent amount of secrets, but not too many that you would draw way too many cards for this. It's like a strange medium that you have to find for this card. Which I think is perfectly fine. Because he could really just go into like a control deck that has like a few secrets and then draw like 3 cards, and that's perfectly fine. Completely reasonable, good value. So really he can get away with barely having any secrets triggered, honestly. Tunwu of the Red Smoke. 2 cost, 3/2 rogue legendary. Battlecry, you return a friendly minion to your hand. It costs 1 this turn. So kind of bouncing stuff back in your hand is not an unusual thing for rogue to do. Having it cost 1 that turn is something new, but probably not super amazing at times, because really you're bouncing it back in your hand for the battle cry again, which is fine, but like it's iffy. Up in the air. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just trying to think of how it's super useful. Like, Battlecry stuff isn't like super like, oh man, this is a small minion with a huge Battlecry. You don't see too much of that. I mean, best case thing I can think of right now is like North Sea Kraken, where like you play him, he deals 4. He takes some damage the next turn on your opponent's turn. And then you pull him back in your hand and play him for 1. And then he's back to full health as well, which is great. That's also what's really nice, is you get the heal back. But it's like, it's fine, but it really shouldn't be a legendary card. I don't think it's good enough to be legendary, to be honest. Zai, the Incredible. 5 cost, 5/3 legendary for Demon Hunter. Battlecry, you copy the left and rightmost cards in your hand. I mean, that's pretty cool. You got make some more copies of cards, because he's a little undervalued, but makes plenty of value up on the Battlecry. So I think that's pretty good. Most likely, you have left and right most cards as outcast cards, maybe? So then more outcast stuff to do? Not sure. I mean, I like the idea. It's cool. I just don't see where this fits for Demon Hunter. Yeah, I just don't see it. Ticketus. What a name. 6 cost, 8/8 demon. And he's a legendary for Warlock. Battlecry, you remove the top 5 cards from your deck. Corrupt your opponent's deck instead. Oh, jeez. Okay. This is what we're doing? Okay. I really like this card now. It's just like, Battlecry, remove the top 5 decks from your top 5 cards from your deck. I'm like, that's not good. Probably not that fair either. For 6 cost 8/8, that's not good. Corrupt your opponent's deck instead. Hold on. Now we're just freaking destroying everything and ruining everyone's life here. It's like, oh, you wanted those 5 cards? Nope, 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 nope. Amazing in a control matchups for sure. Horrible. Absolutely horrible in an aggro matchup. My goodness, this wins in like control scenarios. But it's a Warlock card, which kind of sucks. Because Warlock generally just plays Zoot and control doesn't work too much anymore. It still has decent control card options. Like Twisty Nether is good. But like it doesn't have it much anymore. And this card would be amazing for it, which makes me so sad. Like if it comes back though, put this crap in. This is awesome. Make your opponent discard 5 cards. Oh my goodness, I love it. Oh man. It's like, oh, your opponent's taking mill damage. It's like, yeah, because they're out of cards now because of you. Oh man, I love it. Absolutely love it. What a great way to end off this preview. Oh my goodness. I don't even know. Man. Any Warlock deck I have, I'm gonna want to put that in. Put it in like a demon deck. Like, it's not gonna be good, but I don't care. That card is amazing. I love that. Oh yeah, your opponent loses 5 cards, and it's a cheaper 8/8. It's like, oh, alright. Great value. I'll see you all next time for part 4.